Hi, everybody. I'm Thomas Garrison. Been doing this for just about 25 years. And with Alignable, I've been here for almost 2 years. Thanksgiving will be 2 years we've been streaming weekly meetings. So if you need help with something that you can't quite get from our meetings, get in touch with me. Arthur Moorhead is the co-host, but he's got something going on today. He a lot of times has things that are happening. So he is not with us right now, but probably will join us shortly. In the meantime, I want to get into some basic information about your SEO. Not that we're talking about how to add it to the site, but you want to take a look at your site, page by page, to see how is your SEO on each individual page. And let me be clear, even though we're not checking performance today, when you check with Lighthouse and it tells you about your SEO performance, that has nothing to do with whether your SEO is good, bad, or indifferent. It's just telling you the technical side of the SEO, that the heading tags are there, the tags are created correctly, but that doesn't mean that they've checked the text content on the page. You need to do a different thing, which is similar to what we're doing today. Ranks.nl. Let me put that in here. And I will also throw it in there properly because I want to go over the plans. So let me throw you the link to the plans. Why? Because you can do it for free. And you can go in there and you can play around 1 or 2 times for free. It has quite a few limitations, and I'm going to share my screen. We'll go over and take a look at Ranks. So if you pay by the month, you have this first column, which is $24 a month, and you can pay for just 1 month and then cancel it. It's easy to cancel. It's not like a lot of those programs or sites where they make it, you can't figure out how to cancel. This is really simple to do. So if you want to sign up, you'll get 350 queries a month, which means you would have the chance, the opportunity to test 350 different pages or the same page 350 times in the month, up to 100 queries per day. You just, it's your own site. You're not going to use any more than that. And you can cancel it after the month. So what I'm suggesting is that you can pay by the year if you want to, and then it's $12.49 a month. But if you pay $25 because you're just not sure what you're going to do, you can test a bunch and then cancel it. And then when you have applied some more of your SEO, you can come back and buy another month and test. So there are ways to use Ranks that you don't break the bank and you don't spend a lot of money. You can even do the free, like I said, but you're limited to 10 queries per month, which would be 10 queries per day. So if you did 10 times in one day, you're done for the month. And it's only analyzing the page, which means that it's not giving you all of the information that I'm going to show you get with any of the paid plans. Okay, so I'll also go back to the main page so that you guys can see what it looks like. It's very simple, shows you some ideas of it, gives you some images so that you can check and see what you're going to get. But it's interesting to see, and there's a video that you can watch. Big companies use this platform, and they've been around for better than 20 years. Now, when you decide, okay, you're going to sign in, what do you get? So let me show you here. All right. So once you log into the site, you can do a bunch of things, but if you just follow with me for a second, I'm going to show you what you really want to do. The other things you can do as you play around, but clicking on Page Analyzer is your first go-to. So now it's looking for what's a URL that you're going to use. Just because I happened to find something, I thought, well, let's check this page. You can test any page you want with your paid account, which means you can test your competition. So if anybody wants to check their competition, let me know and I'll put that email or put that URL in here. No takers? Okay. You don't have to put anything other than the website into that URL field. And you can check everything that's going on here. This little wheel up here, the darker the spot, the more prominent that particular keyword is. This is looking at all keywords on your page. Whether you think that it's a keyword for your page or not is not what this is telling you. This is saying here is the list of words on your page, the prominence of them, and how important we find them. In this particular site, baking is in there a lot. And it's all about that. The page is all about a Silpat mat. For anybody that doesn't bake, it's a mat that you can literally cook on. You put your food right on the thing, throw it in the oven, and it doesn't harm the Silpat at all. You can use these things over and over and over again. That's all the cooking I'll give you, cooking instructions I'll give you today. Now, when you're looking at the list, it's going to give you the single words. So you can go down the left column and see all the single words. And then it's got two word keyword phrases, 3-word keyword, 4, 5, and 6. And they usually stop there and say, okay, that's enough. You're usually going to find your keyword terms in the 2 or 3. It's not often that I see people that have a long keyword that they're trying to target, but it can happen. So what does all this stuff mean? Up here in your opportunities, before you get down too far, you're going to see lists, and you can scroll through it to see exactly what it's telling you. That first one is saying page ranks #2 for keyword silpat.mat in google.com. So you know how well your site is doing on that one page. Well, great, it's #2. Now you can see Smith's chocolate and all these other things in 2-word, but that's not where it's main. I was trying to see if it's in 2 or 3, because Silpat is by itself just 1 word. And if you look over here in this first column, it's repeated 15 times on the page. It's got a 2.11% density. 3 is maximum. So if you're over 3, and I'll bet you I can find a few in here that are, because they're not trying to target those. Actually, they've done a really good job. And this is the first time that I have checked the validity of this particular site. Here's 2.53, so they're getting close. But those are sentences. Treats with Silpat, silicone, or scone mold. 3 is your maximum. Try to keep it at most 2.5. So you see this thing slides through in the opportunities, and it tells you, here's another place. You could get the page ranks #5 for keyword nonstick baking mat, which is what it is. So up here in the top, you've got baking, which seems to be the first. Well, that's what you're doing with a Silpat. You're going to be baking. So it's in that page a lot. And why at least Smith's chocolate blood, I have no idea what that's about. But Smith's chocolate blood orange treats apparently is something big. I have no idea what it is. It makes nothing for us. All right. So as you go down the page, you want to see where do these words come? Where are they found in the page? So if you hold your mouse, you know that baking is the keyword. It's repeated 19 times, and then slowly put your mouse over the first one. It occurs at least once in the title. And then the second one, the H, occurs at least once in headings. occurs at least once in anchor text, occurs at least once in the image alt tags, occurs at least once in the list tags, the LI tags, and then occurs at least once in the stemmed format. So bake, and this word is baking. When you're looking at all these numbers, it's not that you need to understand each one of them, but you need to look at your site and see where do you have your keywords and how many times does that keyword appear in the page. So the number of times the keyword appears in the page is directly related to density. As I was mentioning, you want to have a 3 is maximum, but you do not want to hit 3 or above with your keyword terms that you really want. If your page is about forks, you don't want to repeat forks over and over and over again. You want it to be under that 3%. So questions so far? I'm kind of running through this, and I know this can be really confusing. So anybody have questions on what I've shown them so far? And think about your own website. If you give me a URL in the chat, I can take a look. Brandingmix.com. Look at that. And IPM amended. That's interesting. I'll have to ask about that in a minute. All right, so let me put this one in here. Although I'm going to go up here because a lot of times it doesn't show or doesn't work if you don't have the HTTPS. Okay, so here's real world band mix. And this was from Kevin. Let's see, Kevin, where are you? Here's Kevin.
That's a competitor. I just wanted to see what this looks like.
Oh, what is band mix, Kevin?
It's a site where musicians can advertise themselves to promote their music or just to join bands or find band members, things like that.
Okay. So band mix would be the name of the site and the group, if you will. But what do they do? And before you answer, I want everybody to understand this. Having your name very prominent and pushing your name is not the way to brand in your site, and it's not good for SEO. What you want to push in your site on all your pages is, what do you do? What do people search to find what you do? Don't force them to try to figure out your business name because nobody knows it. If they haven't been to your site, they don't know the name. That's what you're trying to do. You brand by making sure that the name of your business is on each page, so it's easy to find, but not so that it's there in a H1 tag or in somebody's face all the time. That's not going to work. So band mix, I see, has, well, I don't know what their position is. Do you, Kevin?
Well, they'd be about the number one, I guess, in that slot.
What would be
It's surprising?
What would be something
a
that
competitor might be Sonic Bids, all one word. SONICBIDS.
for a name of a company or name of a site?
It's another site that's similar site.
Oh, okay, let's stick with band mix because
Stick with them.
I don't know.
I'm surprised by those results because I thought they'd be more. I thought they've been around for like 20 years, and I thought they'd have a more
it'll
robust set of words.
It'll make more sense if I look this up in Google. So what is it that they do? What is the keyword for
Well, I think the one was more like a musician's classifieds for uh, putting yourself out there and advertising yourself as a musician to join a band or to
music
find a
classifieds.
person to jam with or whatever,
Okay.
or even to find performers if you want to hire them, I guess.
I do see that they are #1 position for the music classifieds. So if that's the case, then Ranks is going to tell us whether that's good, bad, or indifferent. Are you with me so far, Kevin?
Yes.
And everybody for that matter, because we're looking at this site that what I just searched, it's at the top of the searches. Now, that doesn't mean that's a popular term. So as this group, you were looking for something to do with where bands get together or how to find a particular band. What would you
like join a band?
Okay, trying to join a band. What would you search? And this is to everybody in the group. What would you search to find where you can find a particular band? Anybody want to blurt out? I didn't mute anybody today, so you're on your own. And you can put it in chat.
How about band directory?
Okay, that's much better. Is it to my mind and to our thinking, that would be what somebody would search. Okay, so that makes more sense. And yet they're not there.
And you can see that competitor there showed up #2. Sonic Bids.
Okay, yep. There's the name that you were telling me before. Yep.
Yep.
And Seattle Band Directory. That's pretty good for a national search. You bring that Seattle Band Directory up. Okay, so I like that. Now let's go back over to Ranks and see, do they include that? Band directory would be 2 words. Not there, not at all. So we're looking at a site that doesn't belong to anybody here, but Kevin is familiar with them, and it's a competitor for him. As long as they've been around, I'm going to make this generalized statement. If they've been around for 20 years, they've never found somebody, they've never reached out to somebody who truly knows how to optimize that site. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, it looks like it. It looks like it.
Because it's not in a term, and we can look up a bunch of other terms too, but I thought band directory sounded like it really worked. And that is not in their mix of terms that they have targeted. If you don't target the term that best fits for what service or product that you sell, you're doing yourself a disservice. Ranks.nl is a tool that you would use in addition to Keyword Planner. Now that I've said that, I know that there are a lot of people who already have this, and I've updated this list, this tools list, several times, just updated it recently. And I'm going to, if I can find it again, where's my tools? I want everybody to have this list because it's got, there it is, a lot of tools in it, most of which are free. But having this tools list allows you to see what's out there, what we use as professionals, what anybody can use, information on what Google has determined as far as performance. But the main thing for right now is I'm saying it's got ranks in there, and it's got the information to get to the keyword planner. Those 2 things you should use in that are working in tandem, because the keyword planner is telling you what are people searching for whatever you do, and that you could spend days doing that. That's probably the single most expensive part of SEO, because you would anybody doing SEO will spend anywhere from several hours in one day to maybe 2 or 3 days going through keywords to find the right keywords for your page. Not pages, just one. Right now, we're seeing band directory in my mind, and anybody else can chime in. When I hear band directory, I think that that's a better one that these guys should be considering. And yet it's not even in their site, not in this page anyway. And what keyword phrases they are using are way too high a density. Now, I didn't explain this before, but the prominence of your keyword, so your whatever proper keyword that you have, whatever one that you really want people to find, that should be the closest to the beginning of your sentences as possible. That's prominence.
How you doing?
I'm fine. I would say that if you're at a 60, that's somewhere down the sentence. Not quite to the 50% point, but it's not at the beginning of the sentence. Get your keyword terms as close to the beginning of the sentence as possible. There's a lot to go into this kind of this particular meeting because of Google's changes. The upcoming changes are Google's not putting as much what am I trying to say? Much weight on keyword terms as they have for the last 20 some odd years. They're pulling back so that they can force everybody to write the content as if you're talking to somebody. It needs to be conversational text. They want to see that the content is written properly. And for those of you who are saying, well, I'll just go to AI, don't do that. You can use AI to get ideas, but if you use AI to write all of your content, Google is going to see that and say, yep, you lose. Now, that means that you could use AI to get some information together, put the, organize how that paragraph or several paragraphs would be written. And you take that and put it in your own words. That's the best way to use AI. So if you're using AI, please don't just copy and paste from AI into your page. You're going to get in trouble. Now back to band mix. This last one, prominence, get that closer to the beginning of the sentence. The only one that's close to the beginning of the sentence is over here in the single words, 84. That's very close to the beginning. So you want to make sure that your keywords are there and they have prominence. That's the beginning of SEO. If you don't have those, everything else that you're doing is just kind of fallen by the wayside. And always look at this list here, these opportunities, because it's going to tell you, okay, well, this ranks page number 30. Yeah, I don't care about number 30. Let's get back up to the top. There's 25. There's 26. And it's telling you more information, but there's a bunch of information in here that these guys need to be doing. So Kevin, if this is your competition, don't tell these guys about it. Did we lose Kevin? Or
Gotcha. No, I'm here. I'm here.
There he is. Page ranks number 30 for keyword member band in Google. Now that tells you something else. That is sort of what the site is doing, but not really. It's not a great keyword term, and yet they're ranking for number 30. 25 for player band. Well, that doesn't really.
Nobody types that
either. Local bands near me.
That's a good one.
That's not bad. Local bands near me. Yeah, that's not in there. I'm looking at the forward phrases and it's not even in the page. So they want to definitely find somebody who knows a lot more about their SEO than what they've got. And Kevin, as long as you're here, you've seen what they've done. Now you know what not to do. And you also know what you should be doing. Does that make sense?
Yes. I've already got my request in for that website. Can you do much on the free plan for
You can't get as much information that I just showed you on the free plan as what we have here. That $25 a month, like I said, you can do it for a month and cancel. And then when you're ready to go back, pay another $25 and then you can cancel that. You can do that over and over and over. So that's my suggestion instead of the free plan, sorry. But if you want to do the free plan just to kind of get your feet wet, yeah, that's fine. You just don't get that much information. Marinella asked a good question. I think the question was, think about using SEO Quake on Chrome to do site comparisons for keywords. Now, I've got SEO Quake on Firefox, so it doesn't make any difference. But the idea is that, are you going to use that to compare keywords? I haven't done that, but I'll tell you something. To answer your question, Marnell, I'm going to do something different. Watch this. I just created another tab. So now I've got a blank tab and ranks. So look at that. You can open as many tabs as you want and compare. So now I've got the bandmix.com. And if I wanted to put, Kevin, what's your site, or what's another competition that the guy that was at the top?
We've got Sonic Bids.
Sonic Bids, yeah, that was it. Here, let me get that site up first. Okay, so now here's the question that was asked about comparing keyword terms. I would use ranks. You can see all I did was open another window. So let's see, no suggestions. And I see that find bands is way over limit on the density. There's a 3.38 just to find bands, and which is not a bad term. Find bands, band directory is what seems to still keep ringing in my ears. And I don't see anything on this page for that either. So they have chosen a particular term. Obviously, bands is the most important. Sonic bands, they feel, is more important. 7 times on the page, that's too many. Band openings, find band. You know, find band might not be bad, but they're not pushing it hard enough on the page to get any value out of that term. So it's way down the list. And I'm reading this and I can see what's going on. And Marnell, you can do any one. You can put any name, any site that you want. So you could have this, let's just say this is my site. I put mine in here. And then you're comparing to the competition.
Thomas, the reason that I mentioned that one is because I have some clients who I'm teaching to do SEO themselves because they don't want to pay, for whatever reason, an agency to do it. And they want free tools. So with Ranks and and all, as you mentioned, you have to pay to get the better information.
Right.
So SEO Quake is those free things you never have to pay to get, to do comparisons. I've also used SpyFu but obviously it's freemium, so you have to pay to get the better information.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking about a lot of them. The reason that I didn't really go into SEO Quake is because I've used it several times and I thought, for the novice, wouldn't you agree that it's pretty complicated? I mean, you have to read an awful lot of stuff to be able to go, what does this mean? What does that mean? Let's take a look at Quake. And I'll turn it on for this page. So right now, I'm just looking at some basics, and it's looking at keyword density. For the novice user, and trust me, I'm asking all of you folks, especially the novice, who feels this is easy to figure out? I don't see any hands.
But then click on compare URLs / domains, the last tab at, no, it's right there. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then put a couple of competitor sites and then click on process URLs.
Like that?
Yeah. And then you can click on each one of them to see more details.
So I'm trying to figure out where this thing is going, because it just threw me to, okay, go pay for it. And I just have a free SEO Quake. I don't pay for
Oh,
SEO.
so I think it's Google Index looking at. Let me see.
Is in
If I
order,
don't use it for a couple of days, I start forgetting it. Let me see.
I mean, I'm not saying that SEO Quake is bad, and I know that everybody has tools that they like to use, but for somebody who didn't know what they're doing and was trying to compare, I'm going, well, wait a second. It seems to me that putting these two windows side by side is much more simple than Quake makes it. Am I wrong? Or is it just me because I like ranks? No mention from the peanut gallery here. Oh, Donald. Let's see, is Donald still with us? I see Donald was trying to figure out.
Yep, I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Yes,
I'm
I'm the
hiding.
novice. That's who I always am trying to look for to see is, or even ask, is any of this making any sense? Do you understand where I've been going so far?
More or less. I'm actually don't have my own site, but I'm contracted with an organization that I suspect has a site that is quite ineffective. So and they freely admitted it's kind of a shoestring operation. So I put in the first URL, then a couple of frames down in the chat, I put in a different one because it's a little more germane to the part that I'm involved in.
Okay.
And this isn't something exciting like hiring a band. What we are doing is we put forth what I think is a unique and unusual type of physician leadership education program.
Mm-hmm.
In short, we are trying to train you to succeed in your career and realize your vision for your career as a physician leader, not whoever wants you to hit payer metrics.
Okay.
That's somebody else's vision. So it's pretty nerdy, and it's not a gigantic market. However, there are some other really excellent organizations that do this as well, and we're having trouble gaining a foothold. But I think it's in part because we don't know how to make awareness of our services available. Say I'm not the director or CEO. I'm a contractor who helps with a variety of things. But I told her I would see if I could find some stuff in this realm to be of service. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
And that's a lot, but I can tell you that even though what we're searching and what we're looking at and going through has nothing to do with your business, it
Yes.
actually has everything to do with whatever your business is.
Oh, I
as
understand that.
SEO.
Yeah, that I
So
get.
the biggest thing that you want to do is find out how well does the site perform. And of
Exactly.
course, an easy way to do that is just go to the search engine and type in what you think people will search. Never ever put in the name of the business because it doesn't
Correct.
mean a darn thing.
Yeah, that'll come up at the top.
Yeah, that doesn't tell you anything. So you know the name of that business. If you knew that, you wouldn't be searching for it.
There you go.
So the search is always, what do people search for? So that's always the first place that you go when you're trying to figure out how well is your SEO done. If you search, in fact, let me ask that to somebody who's new. A keyword that you feel people search for to find your website. Does anybody have one of those? Just the keyword.
Well, I mean, if you want to try physician leadership education, see what happens.
Physician leadership?
Yeah, or physician leadership training or education. In fact, I'm trying it now.
And what's the name of the site?
Ascent, ASCENT, physician leadership. Remember, it's org or com.
Well, we can see it's not in the top of the search engines.
It ain't, yeah, I'm looking at it myself now.
And we're well beyond 10.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if it showed up anywhere.
And this is exactly what everybody finds for their site. They're going, I don't get it. If I search my business name, it comes right up. Yes, that's just putting it out there in front of you. That's not seeing what other people see. But no, it is nowhere to be found in under this particular term. That
Correct.
doesn't mean that that's a great term for that business. It only means that's one term that we thought might be good. I can't stress enough how much and how important searching keyword terms is for everybody's website. If you don't do that, you have no idea if you're in the search engines for a term people will search. You could put it in, if you sell gyroscopes. Do people search gyroscopes? I don't even know if I can spell it right. You're going to have to do an awful lot of work because you're going to have to get past Britannica and how stuff works and all those, and gyroscope through Amazon. That's you've got a lot of competition. And if anybody ever wants to see how much competition you have for a particular term, right here, right at the top, 46,500,000 results. That's your competition. So if you expect to get to the top of the search engines, you're going to have to make sure that you look and apply your SEO properly.
Well, mine has 109 million results. So
applying, or identifying your keyword term is absolutely imperative.
sure.
And tax preparation, that's a good one. And of course, this list is going to be different for everybody. Excuse me. But if you're doing, it wants to see, Google wants to know where I am. Nah, I don't want to tell you. If you,
This is Mark Sampson. I'm the guy who posted that question.
okay,
one of the things that you find with, and I put tax preparation up there for a reason, because it tends to be local or regional. People are looking for a tax professional nearby their house, their office, who can do things locally.
Yes,
You get rid of that near me and just look for tax preparation in general. What you're going to see are the H&R Blocks and Jackson Hewitts nationally.
correct.
You might find TurboTax. So you really got to narrow your search if you're looking for a tax pro.
You've been doing.
I'm also a notary signing agent, meaning that I close mortgage transactions. Here's the thing with looking for notaries. If you just look for a notary generally, you're going to get all kinds of oddball answers. Most notaries list themselves on notary pages like Notary Cafe, Notary Rotary, this sort of thing. So if you're looking for a notary, you're going to go to Notary Cafe and see who's in San Antonio, Texas, and that will pull that stuff up for you.
Yes. Anytime that you are dealing with just local, in other words, you're selling to local business or selling to local people, your product or service is all something that you're doing locally, make sure that you're dealing and you're targeting local SEO. How do you do that as compared to national? Add the territory or the city or both where you do business. So I'm in Bellingham, so I would say SEO specialist in Bellingham, Washington.
Yes.
I was in Seattle, the SEO specialist in Seattle, Washington. If you're national, you just do SEO specialist. Now you're dealing with a huge term. There's a lot more that has to go into that. It's much easier to target your local SEO than it is national. So if you're doing, and even if you're saying, yeah, I do some national, but yes, I do also a lot of local business, distribution or sales or service, whatever. If you do both, start with the local and get that site up into the local areas. Especially, you can literally put tax preparation near me, and then in your footer, have the territories or the cities where you do business. PR tools, same thing. PR tools, where? Are you dealing nationally or locally, Gina?
Nationally, and actually internationally. They're applicable professionally, globally.
And as you do that, how are you ranking for local PR tools? Have you checked?
No, and there actually aren't any local PR tools. I don't know if people are searching for that. But this is really very helpful. It is, I mean, I can see how time consuming it is. And I've been looking, I have horrible SEO, but I'm working on the website right now, so it's good timing.
Well, if you're looking for, and everybody I'm sure is, if your SEO is bad or horrible or completely gone and you're starting from scratch, the keyword terms and local is the place to do it. So even PR tools, if you did PR tools near me, I found plenty of results. You don't have to put in a specific city, just say near me, because that's exactly how mobile device users do search.
Okay.
And the search engine will pick up, oh, I see your IP address, so you're in this area, and then I'll give you the results for that. So in your situation, if you're trying to just get, even if the site's been around forever, if the SEO is terrible, start with local. As you come up in local, you then start branching out on another page. Let me say that differently. You've got a page that's all about local. So what's the specific area that you're in, Gina?
Thomas, let me say one thing.
Okay.
It depends if you are on cable, internet, or on satellite. I'm on satellite, and in my region, which is rural, most people are on satellite internet. And in that case, it could be Bellingham, Washington, even though I'm in Northern California, or it could be Southern California. So you need to specify the city, or at least the region, like Northern California or Northern Washington or whatever, to get the near me results, because otherwise Google will show you a different area possibly than, is actually the case.
I hadn't thought of that, and I know why. Google's always looking at your IP address. Whether you tell them that you want them to look at your IP or not, they're going to do it, period. I haven't given it to them. I block it all the time, but they've grabbed the IP and it's close enough. It's within a couple of miles of correct. Now, using a satellite, you're going to have a completely different IP address because satellite is satellite. Broadband through somebody like Comcast is sent through a specific IP and they're directing that right at you. Now, satellite doesn't, what your IP address is, just like Marnell said, could be an address in California, and yet I'm in Bellingham. So if I typed in near me and I'm on satellite, I might get results for California or someplace. So that's the other reason that I'm saying, let's see, Gina, I was asking you the specific area where you are.
I'm up in a little town called Angels Camp, but I'm soon to be relocating to the San Francisco Bay Area. I don't know whether or not, I don't know how Angels Camp would relate.
Well, it threw Google for a loop because it's all over the map.
I know that most PR professionals are located in urban areas. So in terms of where people in my profession work, and there, not to say that there aren't some in rural areas, there are, but the majority are in the urban areas.
Yeah, see, just for searching California, if I searched, what's the, I know you're out there in Egypt, what's the largest city close to you?
Stockton.
So there you go. I probably would suggest, if that's closest to you, you use Stockton as the area that you service. And that way you would get into there. And so if you look at your Stockton, I would probably say that, and I'm trying to think for Google right now. I'm thinking that the PR may not be specific enough because I'm seeing tire tools, other kinds of tools, public relations is down here. It should come up first.
There's a lot of competition because each tool vendor uses PR tools as like a keyword phrase.
Who does?
Every tool vendor. If you type in PR tools, you'll see who's ranking for, and most of them are really big tool vendors with deep pockets.
So let's do this. When you go into the keyword planner, let me see if there's some things in the chat first. Got the key phrases. Okay. And people do have their IP routed, and that's true. Oh, and this is a good question from the office manager. Yes, you are optimizing each page of your website. And I slowed down to make sure you understand you're not optimizing the entire page at one time. Make sure that when you go to do any optimization, you're working on one page, only one page. So if Gina might even have a situation where if she had one page was about Stockton, another page was in some other area that she wants to do, that's possible. it doesn't make any difference what location that you put in there. If you're just trying to get some traction, you're just trying to get traction saying, I'm in this area. I want mine to show up, even though I'm national, I want it to show up at the top for my areas that are directly around you. That's how you start national, by starting with local. It doesn't mean every page has to be Stockton. One page could be Stockton, one page could be San Francisco, another page could be up in the Bay Area, any place that you want. So make sure that you understand that you're optimizing a page at a time. Look to see what area you feel would be best to target. Then, once you know what area you're going to target, then make sure that you are optimizing just one page for that specific area.
Got it.
Okay. Especially when you're just starting out. You're never going to hit, you could have your site optimized completely, even go to Google and say, how well is my site optimized for this particular page? They'd say, oh, it's perfect. But that doesn't mean that you're going to be at the top of the search engines. Because
Now,
here's what you need. Yes, go ahead.
Here's a question that's sort of bedeviled me. I'm turning it basically PR. My business is an online directory of PR tools, and I'm turning it into a membership site so that the database, the forum, and the PR consultants directory would be behind a paywall. Does Google index things behind a paywall or no?
As long as the page is available. Yeah, I'm going to say yes, in general. You could make it so that nothing gets back and sees a particular page, but in general, if it's part of your sitemap, then yes, Google can get in there. They're not sending in somebody to access information about that page. They're just looking at the code for that page.
Okay.
So they can get past a pay page. Is the wall covering a page that also appears in your sitemap?
It's not up yet.
Oh, okay.
It's planned. We're doing it step by step.
Well, if you've got a site up and you're working on it, put that sitemap in there and just keep updating the sitemap all the time. You want Google to be able to see the pages. Where are these pages? And it'll see it now. It'll see the changes that you make. So it'll constantly be there. You're trying to feed information to Google as much as possible. If you're just letting the site sit, not doing anything with it, you're really not trying to feed it anything. You're just saying, I kind of gave up.
Yeah, for each tool in the directory, I do use a Yoast Premium plugin.
Mm-hmm.
Still getting used to that.
Yeah, it's not the best, but it's okay. I would say if you're using Yoast, make sure to use Ranks along with it, so you'll know how to train Yoast. Yoast needs the information from you. It's getting information that it finds. It doesn't mean that it's correct. So you need to look at the competition, compare your site to the competition, and then start realizing what you need to do and what changes you need to make in Yoast. So Yoast is there for you to work with. It's kind of like, if you haven't got a clue, we're going to get you started. But as you learn about more SEO, you learn that you need to change stuff in Yoast. The title that they gave you wasn't quite right. The keyword that they gave you, I need to manipulate that. Or maybe it's completely wrong. So you've got to monitor, even though something says it goes in and it does all the SEO for you. That's not true. There is no software that can apply perfect SEO to any page.
So what I've been finding is, because we have to update, what we're doing right now is we're updating reviewing all the plugins of the site, because the site's been around a long time. So before we add any more, we're cleaning that up. So for Yoast, I've seen that it needs to be updated. So it hasn't been giving me suggestions because it's not, but what I find useful is when I put in what I think needs to be there and it turns orange and then it turns green.
Mhm.
That's what I've been using. So I'm not really using what they're suggesting because the plugin's not working right now. But I do find it useful. I mean, it makes me go and say, okay, let me read about what, what piece of information needs to go in here. How long is it supposed to
Yes.
be? What, that. So that's been useful in training me. But the red, orange, and green indicators, I mean, hopefully it knows what it's doing, and that those indicators have some meaning,
Well,
right?
yeah, they do, but that's why I say Yoast or whatever you're using, you have to make sure that what it's suggesting, because that's all it can do. Say, based on this information, this is what we suggest. And I'll back up to say that's exactly what AI is doing. AI is only repeating what it has been taught. So
Right.
AI can't do your SEO. All these programs, the software that's out there says, our program is the best. You'll have it number one and get to the top of the search engines using just our software. No, you won't. Human interaction is mandated with SEO to be done properly. There's no way around it. So Yoast is okay. If you pay for Yoast, it's even better. But it still mandates
And-
that you research your keyword terms to find out how much a term is being searched. That's the most important part of all your SEO. So if you're holding that to last, you're doing it backwards. So you're just fighting yourself. Keywords must be done first. Questions on that? So
Uh, Thomas,
Yes, ma'am.
Yoast has started urging people to use it in combination with Wincher. And I was wondering about your thoughts on that.
I'll be honest and upfront to begin with. First of all, I don't know Wincher. Is that what it is?
Yeah, so I have clients who've implemented Yoast SEO, and now they're getting a reminder every time they go into WordPress admin to try to use Yoast with Wincher. And when I went to look at what they were telling me about, it looks like Wincher is paid. It's supposed to be for marketing agencies, but my clients are getting these reminders, and they're not marketing agencies, obviously.
Well, it sounds to me like Yoast has gotten in bed with Wincher then.
Mm.
I mean, that's the only way that somebody's going to do that. They're saying, well, now that we've got this and okay, we're doing all this other stuff, let's, Wincher probably came along to him and said, we should combine and make more money. I mean, that's what it's all about. So
what I was wondering is Gina was saying that she wasn't getting good keyword Yoast.
mhm.
I was wondering if they were throttling back or Wincher's taking the place of Keyword Planner for as far as Yoast is concerned. I'm just trying to figure out what is happening and if it's a good thing.
That's a good question. I would say that it sounds to me like Yoast is pushing people to use Wincher to find their keywords. But there's no way to know until you play with it, or at least maybe ask somebody in Yoast if that's what their plan is. If you're paying for some place to look up keyword terms, I'm baffled. What's wrong with the Google Keyword Planner that you can use for free? Now, I will stop there and say that when you create the account, which can be all the same information as the other Google account that you have. But you create an account so that it takes a credit card and then they charge you $50, but they give it back to you within that same week because they just want to make sure that that credit card is valid. So it's free to do the research in the keyword planner. If you do an AdWords campaign, it's not free, but you can search until the cows come home in the keyword planner for free. And you're going to do a tremendous number of hours in searching for a keyword term. Give me a subject. Anybody have a website? Well, let's go back here to a few that we've had. Let's see. Trying to think of a keyword of a site, a website. Well, we can go back to the band directory. I think band directory would be a thing to be searching, but you'd then have to go into the keyword planner and search band directory to see how many times a month that is searched. And you have to try several variations in addition to local. So you can try to see if it is searched locally or not. But whatever your site is about, each page is done differently, and you've got to search the keyword terms for that page. And while we're at it, just before we go, any search that you do in Google, you're going to have the keyword planner give you a bunch of results. And you don't want the ones that are 0 to 10,000 unless it's a really small area that you're targeting. That's not bad, 0 to 10,000. If you're doing national, you got to be looking at 10,000 to 100,000 minimum. But I'm not suggesting to go to national until you have done a good push locally. When you're looking for related keyword terms, you have a lot in the keyword planner. Search the term in Google, and about the, I don't know, 7th or 8th position, close to the 10th position, you'll get these related searches. This is directly related to the term that you used to search whatever is on this page. Use these terms in your text because other people are searching those terms. So it's not just related to what you're doing, it's this is what other people are searching. That's what these terms are telling you. So put that stuff into your content. Did I say that enough? Okay, any questions before we go? I know it's getting kind of late, but I wanted to make sure I covered this stuff. Nobody has questions? Did I make sense today, Susie? Office manager. What source can I look to view how the SEO space is being handled by Google, Bing, so I could adjust my game plan instead of going forward based on old SEO data? Kind of a tough question. Can you come online, office manager? That's you're by there we go. Quincy.
Can you hear me?
Give me say it to me a different way. Ask me in a different method if you can.
Okay. So I'm trying to view trusted sites that I can go to, because you said things are changing up with Google and how they're looking at keywords and things like things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to view, like, is there any websites or any good, like, basically, is there any good websites or sources I can go to see how these, these host websites like Google and Bing are handling SEO? Because I don't want to go in a direction and then they're making changes, but I don't know they're making changes, and then I'm doing the wrong thing when I should have changed things up before. I don't know. I'm trying to explain. I know it's kind of complicated, but I'm really trying to just get to that point of getting the information before the storm happens. If that makes sense.
Welcome to the world of SEO.
Thank you.
You will never know what Google is doing until Google tells you this is what they did.
Gotcha.
Same thing with Bing and anybody else. They're not going to tell you we're going to do Google has made it as maybe slightly dirty water, but it isn't really clear water. They're not going to pay as much attention to keyword terms as they have. I can tell you this, if you're thinking about getting a new domain name, forget about trying to put keyword terms in it. Google has made it clear they're no longer going to make that any kind of ranking algorithm. So if you have keyword term in your domain name, Google doesn't care. It has nothing to do with how well your site is going to perform. So that's number one. The next thing is they're saying that they're not putting the prominence into, or the weight into keyword terms. They want to see the text on the page written as if you are talking to a person, answering the questions that people have about whatever subject is on that page, and telling them in a completely conversational text. So when you go to AI is doing an okay job, but you can tell it's been written by AI, which is why I prefaced the whole meeting. Don't just use AI. It's not going to work. It gives you really good ideas, but it only spits out what it's been told. Case in point, AI spits out what it's been told. It's been told generic information about health and nutrition. So if you look up, write me a couple of paragraphs on health and nutrition, it gives you the same old blah, blah that you hear everywhere, which, because of my background, I already know it inside and out for more than 40 years. I've been studying health and nutrition. It's generic garbage. Just stop eating. Take this diet plan. I mean, if you break down AI when you ask it those questions, that's pretty much what it's telling you. And it's terrible information. Maury saw me go off on an AI stuff that he found on health and nutrition. But AI is not the end all for every answer. It's just something to implement. It's another tool to put into the mix. Don't use the text per se. I mean, you make it your own. Take the text, now write it so that it sounds like you wrote it and that you're talking to somebody. Don't make it sound like AI either. Questions, I'll stop there today. That was a lot. We got a lot in. Ranks. Ranks is really going to help you with every part of your SEO. Go to it often. You can compare your site to the competition. And for 25 bucks a month, you can't beat that price. And if you don't want to pay more than that 1 month, then just pay for that 1 month. You can get it for 12 bucks a month if you pay for it a year in advance. And then you can do it as many times as you want and compare to the competition as much as you want. Few people have run. Just want to make sure that I've answered questions. Did I get your questions answered, Marinella?
Well, you know, when you're in the SEO field, you're checking with other people to see what they're doing, what they're learning. So yes and no. It sounded like I probably will have to pay for a month of winter just to see, you know, if it's worth it for my clients who are doing their own SEO.
That's just such a hard subject, because when somebody says, I want to do my own SEO, I go, that's fine, you're more than welcome, but do you understand how much you have to learn in order to provide your own SEO, even using all of these tools? Because
well, I have
themselves can be daunting.
Right. I have some clients who are small businesses. And in addition to, you know, to my own business, Menda Digital, I'm also serving as an advisor for startups who have turned to the SBA, Small Business Administration. So I can't do work directly for those clients. And yes, I can refer them to you and to other people since I can't work directly for them. But if they say we can't afford that, then I teach them how to do it. And I suggest tools that they can, you know, for instance, Yoast SEO is not as good as Rank Math, but it's easier to use.
Yes.
So, that's how we get to, to using tools that are free and easy to use for those clients.
And where you are, what you just explained was absolutely correct, that you need to do one or the other. The problem is if you don't do it, and if Arthur was here, he'd say the same thing. There are, I was going to say a lot of people, but I'd say the vast majority of people, especially those in our group and those who are, just a small business, they don't have the funds to pay $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 for SEO. And what you guys just saw today, you can see why it takes so much time. And even a very honest person doing SEO for your site, it's going to take you a minimum of $5,000, even if you have just a few pages, because it takes so much time to go through all the keywords and you do it for each page. Time is the biggest deal and why it's so expensive for paying somebody for SEO. Ron, you're very, very happy, very glad to have you. Very welcome for everything. But then you go to the part where, okay, well, I'm going to teach them whatever, however much or little that you're going to teach them. Now you're teaching them at what expense? Are you charging them? No. Doing it for free? Yes. How much can you do? How much can you teach them for free?
Well, in my case, I do get paid for it because I'm a consultant for,
Okay.
for 2 SBDCs in Northern California, Small Business Development Corporations.
Okay.
So this is, they get, they have to have a lower business income and to qualify for this. And it's assistance that the SBA provides to foster small businesses in the US. It's only, available in the US, not in Canada.
Wow.
And so they have consultants who are experts in their field, and I get paid for the hours that I'm teaching them. I have to submit a statement of work every time that specifies, and I have to enter my meeting notes and show that there's progress. And then my clients don't have to pay anything. It's paid by grants from the government.
It's excellent. I think we need to talk.
Well, I can refer people to you. I can't, when you have a contract with the government, you can't do work directly for those clients. You have to refer people to others.
But you don't care. And as a developer, you don't care. Somebody's paying you. What do you care who? And you're being paid for your time. But in general, when somebody doesn't know that information and you're taking the time to teach them, it's usually free. And I try to tell people this, and it's very tough for me to say, and it's very tough to hear. But if you're trying to learn SEO from zero, you don't have a thing, you've got a 2-year learning curve. Because it's going to take you that much time. I don't care what tools you have. And the more tools that you involve, the longer it's going to take. So I try to tell people, just use 1 or 2, do it this way, and then we'll reconvene at a time when you've learned stuff and I'll answer some questions. But they're not ready to pay $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 to have me just take it over. And that's pretty much where SEO has come. So you're in a good position because the government is saying, we're going to pay you to teach these people. Great. Perfect. But learning SEO, if you do exactly what I'm telling you and what Arthur and I both are telling people in all our meetings, do exactly how we're telling you to do it, you will learn a lot faster than if you were doing it on your own. So you can learn SEO, I would say, if you're really good and you pay attention and you follow along with us, in 6-8 months, you'd be probably good enough that you have been able to successfully get your pages, or at least a page, at the top of a local search. Don't plan on 6 months getting to the top for a national search. That's a much longer road to hoe. Any questions on that so far? don't want to go up too much. Okay. Looks like we reached a stopping point. We're about 20 minutes past, but thank you guys for joining us today. If you have no other questions, I'll hit the stop recording button and say, I'll see you next week.